Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2349 of the Cabral Concept. Today is going to be an important one. I've got a few shows right now on true longevity and dis-ease in the body that are early predictors for an early death, so all-cause mortality, as well as disease, which includes Alzheimer's, cardiovascular, cancer, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, etc. So this is a really important study. I want to make sure that you understand it. It's 18 specific biomarkers that literally anyone can test, and you will know decades earlier before the onset of a disease. It's pretty impressive, really important. This study was actually done with almost 1,000 adults in their 30s and 40s. It was called the Dunedin, if that's how you pronounce Dunedin, Dunedin study birth cohort. Again, I'm going to share this with you. They looked at tracking multiple biomarkers across 3 points spanning their 3rd and 4th decade of life. They validated these specific measures, looking at a cross-sectional and longitudinal-based study. And what I want to share with you is the actual results. I find it pretty fascinating, and the reason is that almost all of the markers are also part of the what we look at as 25 markers for Alzheimer's disease. So we have to understand is that unlike what conventional medicine thinks, which is basically if lab marker A is off, well, then you have this disease. And then if lab marker B goes off, well, then you have this disease. Meaning like if you have high cholesterol, oh, then we just give you this statin-based drug for early cardiovascular-based risk. If your blood pressure is above 135/80 or 85, we're going to give you this high blood pressure-based medication in order to reduce those symptoms. If you have fasting glucose levels above 126 or hemoglobin A1C above 5.7 or above, okay, then you have type 2 diabetes, and we're going to give you these diabetes-based drugs. So we have to understand is that is really reductionist and mechanistic at its very best, right? For conventional medicine is like you come in with Y and we simply give you Z. And we can't have that anymore. We can't. And the reason is that if you do have to go on cholesterol medication or blood pressure or blood sugar or any of these diseases of the body, the likelihood you end up with something far greater that leads to early mortality or other diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, etc., autoimmune, is very high. Very high. And the reason is that what led to your cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, etc., are the same things that lead to the other diseases. You just saw one marker off because that's what your doctor was looking at, and so that's what went off first. And you might say, well, you know, my parents had it, my grandparents had it, it's a genetic thing. Yeah, it's a genetic thing. There's no doubt about it. The thing is, you don't have to have it, right? It's in your genetics. You don't have to have it. So if all of a sudden you have high cholesterol at 36 years old, well, you didn't have high cholesterol at 12 years old or 18 years old. Why? Same genetics. You have to ask why. You're like, well, you know, it's only set to go off in midlife. Okay. Who says who, right? Says who? It's set to go off in midlife, right? So my parents, they had, my dad had RA in his 40s, rheumatoid arthritis. My mom got it probably in her 50s. I got it at 17 years old, but I thought it was supposed to be based on genetics, right? I thought there was a secret code inside of my genes that enabled me to get rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune disease at 46 years old. Or 42 years old, not 17, or 56 years old, maybe like when my mom got it, or whenever my grandparents got it, maybe in their 60s. So why did I get it at 17? My genetics. But the thing is, I was the one, not knowingly, of course, none of us does this on purpose, I don't think. I didn't know how those genes were being activated. I'm telling you right now, studies like the one I'm just going to share with you begin to give us early warning signs of disease in the future to come, as well as potentially early mortality. So I want to share this with you right now. And I'm going to go through all 18. I'm going to explain them just in basic terms, and we can always go deeper because I have lots of additional podcasts on all of these topics. All right. So I'm going to link up my entire longevity-based series of podcasts. So if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast, you can actually scroll through the images at the top, whether it's on your phone or desktop. And you'll see them all in categories now. Interested in thyroid or hormones or viruses or what else do we have? We've got sleep. We've got weight loss. We've got every different topic that you can really think about. So if you're interested in going deep on a topic, click on that. Listen to all those podcasts. You will then know this to such a deep level. I mean, a week of listening to all those shows would save you a year of reading a dozen books. It really would. Like it's all the condensed information from 25 years of me being in this. Like 25 plus years now of me meeting with hundreds of thousands of people, reading thousands of books, and being able to see how this plays out, not just in my practice, but all over the world from all of my internships. So, all right, let's get right into it. You're going to start to see a theme, and I'll pull them all together as well, because I've got, a bunch of shows which backs this up through so many different studies, and it's a beautiful infographic as well. So as long as I can get copyright use of this, you'll see it today as well. Just go over to stephencabral.com/2349, and I'll link everything up there. Okay. And of course, including the study. All right. So the first marker is hemoglobin A1C. That is a measure of blood sugar, essentially. It's looking at a weighted 90-day window of an average of your blood sugar, essentially, over that 90-day period. So technically, you could say anywhere from 60 to 120 days. But again, I won't get too deep into that. So if your marker is really above a 5.5, it's not optimal. So it's the first thing to look at. Because if your blood sugar is imbalanced, you're going to be aging at a faster degree, and you're going to have more oxidative stress, more free radical damage, and inflammation. All right, then it looks at your cardiorespiratory fitness. So I'm going to actually lump a few of these together. All right, it looks at cardiovascular fitness and something called FEV, FVC. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that is. So, because they all have to do with cardiovascular fitness. It's basically looking at, it's not a stress test, but it is looking at your ability to take in oxygen, expand the lungs, oxygenate the body, dilate your blood vessels, and then breathe out all of that air forcefully as well. So it's basically looking at your respiratory and lung fitness. How do you improve this? Brisk walking, okay, but 10,000 steps a day. Sauna, heat therapy would work to also improve this, because you believe it or not, you get cardiovascular fitness by doing a hot sauna. And then, of course, jogging or rowing or anything that's going to get that heart rate going, biking, okay? So that's why when I share with you the importance of aerobics, it's not necessarily about body transformation. I truly believe that people can get in better shape by doing resistance-based training workouts that I've shared over the past couple of weeks, whether it be HIIT training or whether it be other forms of training that I've explained as well. Let me see if I can grab that nice little podcast for you as well on that. Metcon, metabolic conditioning workouts. Those are my personal favorite. Anyway, so we can go on and on about this, but it's why when I talk about my de-stress protocol, exercise is in there. But people, when they think about exercise, they think about doing like a boot camp, like and absolutely crushing their body. I'm not asking you to do that. A couple days of fitness, meaning like strength-based, resistance-based training, a couple days of cardio. That's going to get you there. So much so that it's 3 of the markers out of 18. So very impressive. All right. The next one is going to be a few that are body composition-wise. Again, one of the reasons why I say I'm not here to tell anybody what their ideal body should look like. I'm just not that person. I don't think anybody should be that person. We have unique bodies, but we do need to keep them into the best shape of our ability. Not for vanity metrics, but for health. I'm willing to bet that 9 out of 10 people that are 50 plus pounds overweight, they're going to take off 5, 10 plus years of their life. And their quality of life isn't going to be there for the last 20, 30 years, most likely. The studies back this up. We talked about this before. Waist-hip ratio. One of the most important stats out there. Cardiovascular disease, right? Blood pressure, cancer, waist-hip ratio matters. I've got a show on waist-hip ratio as well. BMI. BMI matters as well. I know there's a lot of fitness people that like to go back and forth in this. I get it. I've been in the fitness industry since 1996. I get it. I totally understand. I'm not talking about the less than 1% of people, even in a gym, who have a higher BMI because they have more muscle in their body. I'm not talking about that. But even still, there's a detriment to the more muscle mass you add to your body. Still makes it harder on your heart and organs, right? There's no doubt about that. Eating 300 grams of protein still makes it more difficult on your body. So again, like we're saying healthy, right? So body mass index, again, if you want all of these, you can do a free calculator for this. Just go to stevencabral.com/assessments. Take your BMI for free right there. Don't even have to enter in your email address. Really important that we start to look at that. Longest lived people in the world are just leaner. That's basically it. But leaner for their body type. Remember, for their body type. There's a difference. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. If you don't understand the different body types, it's important to look into that as well because not every body is built the same. That's for sure. All right, the next one is this. Leukocytes, telomere length. That means the telomere as viewed through leukocytes, right? So as we're looking at through these white blood cells, really important. Why does this matter? All right, well, this September, we're going to be launching a lab, stay tuned for it, that is actually going to be able to give you your biological age. This study shared with people that you can be 45 years old and have the body of a 65-year-old, not look-wise, but internally, or 25 years old. It is a massive spectrum. Chronological age is the age you are today in days you've lived since birth. That's chronological. Biological age is what does the inside of your body look like, right? How's it ticking? That's biological age. The younger you are biologically, typically, the further you out from dis-ease and an early death. The next one is creatinine clearance. This has more to do with the kidneys, maybe partially liver function, but more kidneys, digestion, muscle breakdown, and clearance, and also hydration in the body. It's an important one to look at, but there's a lot of different parameters with it. You'll pretty much always have that run with your PCP when you do your annual blood work. They'll run BUN and creatinine, and then they'll run the ratio as well. All right, when we're looking at urea and nitrogen, I look at this again in the same way. How are you processing things metabolically? How are you processing protein when you digest it? Are you over-exercising? Are the systems of your body overly inflamed? What are your overall clearance of harmful metabolites? It's basically waste in your blood. Important one to look at this. Lipoprotein little a. So a lot of people like to look at just total cholesterol alone. Well, let me lump this together. We've got a bunch for cholesterol. So we've got this study looked at, again, this matters, right? It matters. Cardiovascular disease is the number one killer. Do I believe high cholesterol is the only parameter for heart attacks? Absolutely do not. Do I believe high cholesterol could be a factor in overall inflammatory processes of the body and potentially leading to Alzheimer's and other diseases? Yes, because the science actually backs that up. There's no doubt about it. I just don't believe that cholesterol is the only factor for cardiovascular disease. But again, if we're erring on the side of caution, which I believe that we should, having cholesterol of 280 is not a good thing, right? It's just not. It's an overabundance. There's not a need for it. You always have to ask, why is there such a need for cholesterol in my body? Is it being used for oxidative stress, damage, and repair? You have to ask yourself that. Or is it just because you're eating, a dozen egg yolks a day? I'm not saying egg yolks are bad for you. I'm saying that some people can't clear it. And I gave you the specific 26% of the population that can't. Do you know if you're one of the 26% of the population? I don't know. You can definitely run it with your doctor. We're going to give people the ability to run it this September. But that was last week, I believe. Let me see if I can find that for you so you can check this out. That was on episode 2342. stevencabral.com/2342. It's crucial because you have so many experts saying saturated fat doesn't matter. Cholesterol fat doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter for a portion of the population. It matters a whole lot for at least 26% of the population. So again, be careful who you're getting your information from. Most practitioners are not willing to continue to peel back the onion. It's a lot of work and you can't have dogma. So when you have a keto-based practitioner, or you have a low-carb-based practitioner, or a carnivore-based practitioner, or a whatever-based practitioner, their whole model is based on one thing. Yeah, that's going to work for some people, but not for everyone. So you really have to take an integrative approach. if your practitioner is not doing that, you may be helped, but then again, you may not. All right, so all of these lumped together. Let me just name them and then I can go through them all. Lipoprotein little a, triglycerides, total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, and then the ApoE genotype that we just spoke about. All right, let me pull all these together. Really, really important. So we'll call LDL your so-called bad cholesterol. Let's just call it oxidized cholesterol. HDL, let's call it non-oxidized cholesterol, and acting as more of an antioxidant in your body. So really, really helpful. But why do we see some people with an HDL of 90? All right, it's too high. You have to ask yourself is, why would someone be producing all of this good cholesterol, right? Well, there might be something bad happening in the body that it needs to overproduce good cholesterol. You have to ask these questions. Your doctor will probably just say, oh, it's fantastic. You have tons of good cholesterol. Well, why? Why do you have tons of good cholesterol? We know that there's an optimal range. You're above that optimal range. The optimal range might be 50 to 80. Why are you at 90? Why are you at 100 for your HDL? Why is your HDL greater than your LDL? You have to be able to ask these questions. And again, running something like lipoprotein little a gives you a deeper look into the actual oxidative stress and damage and potentially greater risk for cardiovascular-based disease. And then, of course, total cholesterol, the HDL, they have found, this is pretty good research, that if you have a total cholesterol of, let's say, 180, and you've got good cholesterol of 65, so total cholesterol 180, and you've got an HDL of, let's say, 65, that person would be considered optimal. They have a ratio of total cholesterol to HDL cholesterol, and it's usually written on your blood work with your doctor under your lipid profile, of less than a 3-to-1. That means their ratio is under 3-to-1. That means their risk for cardiovascular disease is way down. So if you have cholesterol of 200 and you have HDL, it would have to be what? 75, right? And you'd say, oh, well, that's a good ratio. So you have to look at this, right? You want to be below 3.5 to 1, ideally below 3 to 1, if possible. Again, is that going to affect everybody? No. Are you erring on the side of caution if you do that? Yes. What's my job as a practitioner? Do no harm. Help people. Help everyone, not just some people that fit in this box, right? All right, looking at white blood cell count, this was one of the last markers that I want to share with you, extremely important. You don't want to be too high in white blood cells. You don't want to be too low. There's an optimal, not mean, but there's an optimal zone in the middle of the middle 50% essentially. That middle 50% of the optimal zone, not the whole range, but let's say it's 4 to 12. You really want to be between the 6 and the 10. You want to be not all the way down in the 4s of low end of the range of white blood cells, because that can mean all sorts of things, right? It could be anything from Epstein-Barr virus or chronically suppressed immune system. And the high end could be your body's chronically fighting off some chronic-based condition, right? And so we want to look at that. It all matters. It all matters. It really does. And never one snapshot in time. So if your white blood cells are off one time, well, you could have been fighting a virus or something that you don't even know that you have, right? Because your body's fighting things all the time. So you go back 12 weeks later, you say, oh, is it still elevated? No, it's not. Okay, well, there you go. Good. It was just, hey, your body was fighting something off. If I got off a plane and I went to take my blood work, the next day or so, it might be off from whatever my body's fighting. I didn't know that I ever got it. I felt fine. Right? So we have to understand, like, it's blood work is a snapshot in time. It's why it's not the end all be all, but you still want to run it. All right, the last one is this, HSCRP. Back in the day, we only ran CRP. Now, but still, most doctors didn't run CRP, but you could ask for it. CRP stands for C, reactive protein. So why are we running this? Well, it's a marker for inflammation. It's not that exciting. A lot of practitioners be like, oh, you need to run your HSCRP. Yes, it matters, okay? It matters. Here's why. Your CRP should be below 1, all right? Your HSCRP depends on the lab that's running it, but you want it to be at the lowest possible number it can be. So less than 1, low. Why is this? Well, it's a marker for acute-based inflammation. That means there's something going on in your body right now. There's inflammation in your body right now. It doesn't tell you what it's from, but then you can start running something like the big 5 at-home lab tests that we run in our practice all the time. So do naturopathic doctors. So do many functional medicine doctors, some of them chiropractors. And then we also have a lot of integrative health practitioners, level 2, that do this. Because then you start to say, oh, it's heavy metals. Oh, no, it's thyroid. It's high levels of cortisol. It's whatever it might be, right? Gut health. So All of it matters. But these specific blood work, though the HSCRP is showing you something's off in the body. Like something is wrong in the body. I've seen people with CRPs of 300, should be less than 1. But then I've seen them come down to 100, to then 30, to then 4, and then below 1 over the course of a year. And that's usually if they have autoimmune issues or whatever it might be. So again, healing can and will take place if you take the foot off the brake in your body. And usually that means removing the thorn from the proverbial heel. So that is what we need to do. But the reason why I want to share these with you is that you can run these labs with your PCP. Most of them you can get covered by your health insurance. Just don't expect most medical doctors to tell you why they are off. So run them for your own knowledge. Try to get them covered by health insurance if you can. But then when they're off, don't try. Again, I can't give medical advice, right? So I'm not giving you medical advice. But my advice, at least for myself, would be, let me now figure out why all of these things are off. Because here's the thing. Every single one of these signals inflammation. And your doctor or practitioner might say, well, you have a lot of inflammation. Okay, that is not a root cause. Anybody who stops at inflammation and tries to treat the inflammation is helping you to a degree, but they're not fixing the thing that's causing the inflammation. It's your job at that point to start to go deeper, to figure out what it is that's causing that inflammation. Again, I recommend running the Big 5 labs. If not, I recommend running the starter kit, but you just do what you can with what you have at this moment. But I'm telling you right now, these 18 markers are what tell people if disease is on the way in the future. It's not a mystery. It's not your genetics. It's a key to your genetics. I'll link everything up today for further review at stephencabral.com/2349. Hopefully this was helpful. And of course, if it was, do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.